12:48 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the 9th of March 2018 by Tim Goodman. There's a certain kind of old-school charm to a series like Amazon's Sneaky Pete, which returned Friday for its second season after a 14-month gap after its first acclaimed but mostly under-the-radar run. Old school is in vintage broadcast network style, and that's not meant to degrade. Sneaky Pete relies on a series of improbable events to fuel the narrative, which can either be massively fun or massively infuriating or annoying, depending on your mental makeup. In its freshman season, the great joy of watching Sneaky Pete was in the wildly talented cast. Seriously, that whole season was a casting coup, and in particular the dynamic between Giovanni Ribisi, who plays the main character, and Bryan Cranston, who created the series along with David Shore, House, The Good Doctor. When CBS passed on the pilot, it was revamped a bit and Cranston stepped in to add some season-long star wattage as a mobster in battle with Marius, the con man, played by Ribisi. Veteran creator, writer and showrunner Graham Yost, Justified, took over the series after Shore left, post-pilot and before the start of Season 1, and fashioned it into an intricate thrill ride that went from light rom to slightly darker and twistier long con, and then stuck the landing in the finale, but is working in Season 2 without Cranston's character, which is part of the problem. More on that in a bit. But the success of that first season was an intriguing combination of Yost and his writers milking a sustained and intricate con over an entire season between Ribisi and Cranston, while nourishing side stories that offered strong performances from Margot Martindale, Peter Jerde, Alison Wright, Marin Ireland, Shane McRae, Michael Dreyer and Live Bearer. The premise of the series is that Marius, locked up with a fellow convict named Pete, gets out of prison and impersonates Pete in an effort to bilk money from Pete's grandparents, played by Martindale and Jerde, who haven't seen him in 20-plus years. Marius is going to use the money from that scam to pay off Cranston's mobster figure and, of course, tons of trouble and dicey situations ensue. While there were certainly issues in Season 1, lots of detours, character development that at times felt like wheel-spinning, Sneaky Pete worked because it was infectious and fun and could subvert the twists that strained credulity with strong characters and great acting. More often than not, the show delivered on the intricate plotting and topped things off with a very satisfying conclusion. Season 1 ended on a cliffhanger, setting up Season 2, just when it looks like Marius is free. He gets kidnapped by a new group of troublesome dudes who think he's the actual Pete he's been impersonating. And off we go. The trouble with Season 2 rests in part because Cranston leaves a pretty big void, but really has more to do with whether viewers will be up for another season of overly convenient and sometimes ill-conceived twists, dilemmas, and decisions that fuel the narrative. It's fun until it isn't. There's always been an Ocean's 11-type convenience for plot element to Sneaky Pete, where sleight of hand, diversion or impersonation ends up freeing our main characters from whatever trouble they get into, and in Sneaky Pete Season 2, there seems to be a lot of that. While that's fine as a narrative device if you're willing to go along for that kind of ride, you definitely have to be in the mood. So much of the streaming and cable world is filled with equally thrilling dramatic rides that are rooted in more plausible situations. That leaves Sneaky Pete to be a very clear choice for something a little broadcast network-like in its retro world of almost caught you capers. If that feels more fun than manipulative or stressful, and Season 2 of Sneaky Pete is not devoid of the fun found in Season 1, then by all means opt in. But the show does need absolution for its implausible scenarios that generate dramatic tension, not to mention a seemingly endless number of dubious decisions from characters at every turn. Sneaky Pete, then, is of a certain style, and one that it does quite well. But without Cranston as the magnetic heavy at the center of the action, or, necessarily, the same kind of long con that defined the first season, the effort it takes to keep up your investment might be more challenging than last season. Cast: Giovanni Ribisi, Margot Martindale, Peter Jerde, Marin Ireland, Shane McRae, Live Bearer, Alison Wright, Desmond Harrington, Joseph Lyle Taylor, John Ailes. Available on Amazon.